Hey guys, I just want to play a quick little game of Put a Finger Down, Busy Artist Edition. Put a finger down if you have a full-time job or a part-time job that has nothing to do with art. Put a finger down if you also have a second job that also doesn't have anything to do with art. Put a finger down if you have people dependent on you, such as family, a roommate, significant other. Now this one I really relate to. Put a finger down if you have trouble finding time to take care of yourself, let alone have some time to do something you enjoy. Now, like me, I bet you have more than one finger down. And that's why I'm gonna give you guys some of my best tips and tricks to make time for art. My name's Christine. My friends and family call me Chrissy, and I'm a 25-year-old living at home, also working a full-time job while also trying to make art my second income. Quick disclaimer. As I mentioned, I live at home. I also work remotely as part of my full-time job, and I make my own hours. I don't pay rent, which is immensely helpful, and one of the things I'm very fortunate to have on my side. However, I do have many things that take up time in my week. I go grocery shopping, I meal plan. I also make 2 to 4 meals a week for my family as part of helping them out since they let me live here for free. Sometimes I have to babysit a couple hours because I do have 2 very cute half siblings. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, you have it pretty easy compared to me. And while that may be true, I did work during the pandemic as a nurse. So I have that background as well. And I know what it's like to be busy living on your own, because I also lived on my own during that time. And I still made time for art. So I think I do have some things that might help you. The point, I don't have much time to do art. And I didn't have much time to do art back then either, or so I thought. Here are some tips and tricks that you can use to help make more time for art in your daily life. Prioritize your health. Make sure you're getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Exercise daily, even if it's only 5, 10, or 15 minutes. Try taking the stairs instead of the elevator at your office building, or walk to work if you're able to do that instead of taking the car. Drink plenty of water, which, as you guys see, I always have a water bottle nearby. And think about your nutrition once in a while. You don't have to adopt some crazy diet. You just have to do what works for you. That also makes it easier for you to live your life. You don't have to be a certain weight or a certain build to be an artist, but it definitely helps if you're nourishing the body that's gonna help you create. So kind of going off that point, why is health so important? And how does it make more time for me to do art? Well, think about it. If you have more hours of sleep under your belt, you're more well rested. And that means your brain might be more open to being creative. You might have better ideas. And also you might not feel so worn out at the end of a long day of work. You might still have some energy to maybe sit down for 30 minutes to an hour and get a drawing done or finish a sketchbook page. And obviously nutrition and exercise play into that. Things we eat do impact how we feel, as well as exercise. I'm no doctor, and while I did say I was a nurse, I don't consider myself a health expert, but I can tell you this: eating right and exercising daily will put you in a better mindset. So will sleeping a good amount of hours. Figure out how you like to plan things out and exploit it. So here are some suggestions. Make a to-do list. Use a planner. Use Notion. I certainly do. Try block scheduling. And if you don't know what that is, I can certainly make a video about how I use it, but you can also look it up on YouTube. There are tons of videos about block scheduling. Bullet journal. Bullet journals are great because you can make them as in-depth or as minimal as you want. And it's a great opportunity to sit down and make something beautiful. Create themed days. Essentially, have one day that you do all the cooking, or have one day that you go grocery shopping and do all your other outdoor errands. My Saturdays, for example, are exclusively devoted to meal prep and cleaning the house. That way I don't have to worry about it the rest of the week. And my Fridays are usually devoted to errands. So that's when I get my groceries. If I have any appointments, I try to schedule them for that day as well. You can also schedule days that are exclusively for family or exclusively for work. You can also schedule a date that is just for you and your art. Now you might say to yourself, I can't do this with a 9-to-5 job. I can't devote a whole day to one task. And while it is a little bit harder with a 9-to-5 job because you only have 2 days out of the week that you're not at work, you still have a couple of hours after work to devote to 1 or 2 things. For example, Monday evenings after work, I clean the bathrooms or Tuesdays after work, we vacuum the living room. Maybe Wednesdays you go grocery shopping after work. Maybe it's a family affair. You take your children, if you have any, your significant other, or even just by yourself, go get some groceries. You get the idea. Don't dilly-dally. What I mean by this is don't fill all your free time binging the latest show on Netflix, playing video games, or scrolling mindlessly through TikTok. And give this video a like if you're guilty of doing that too. Now, there is a small caveat to this, and that's where your mental health comes in. If you need a couple minutes, even a half an hour to an hour out of the week to sit down and do something that requires very little energy on your part, then by all means, do something fun, like watch your favorite Netflix show, or scroll through TikTok, or watch your favorite YouTubers. There's nothing wrong with putting aside some time for something like that. But of course, make sure you're also making time for your art practice, because if you're like me, art is something that you find fulfilling. Now, if you're going to do this, if you're gonna give yourself some time, do something fun that isn't art related, then make sure you give yourself a time limit. There is an alarm app on most phones, and if you don't have it on your phone, you can certainly use your computer and set a time limit for 15, 30 minutes, maybe an hour. But as soon as that alarm goes off, you gotta stop. You'd be surprised how much of your time, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, you are wasting. Here's a little tip. This is certainly not something I came up with, and I believe I heard it on the Draftsman podcast, and it was Stan Prokopenko who mentioned this. A good exercise to see just how much time you really are losing in a week doing these little 5-minute, 10-minute things is get a piece of paper or use the note app on your phone and write down everything you're doing and the timestamps, beginning and end, for each task. Do it for a week, and at the end of the week, you'll see just how much time you're actually wasting that could be used towards something like sitting down and starting that painting. But don't be ashamed. We all do it, and that's why you're watching this video, to hopefully fix it. Now, we've all been there. We're setting up our desk with our art supplies. We have the paper out, the canvas prepared, and then we get a text. And it's not necessarily a bad text. Maybe it's a friend saying, hey, I have some free time today, wondering if you want to hang out. Or maybe it's a significant other. Or maybe it's someone else you care about, asking if you could spare some time to go down to the local restaurant or cafe. Now here comes the dilemma. Do you sit and continue with your art practice that you had intended to do, or do you go out? Obviously, there's multiple things to consider. Maybe you haven't seen this friend for a while, or maybe they're from out of town. But in the end, going to see your friend is usually the easier choice. Art requires some time and dedication. And sometimes if you're not quite in the right headspace, it's easier to pick something that doesn't require much mental energy. But sometimes you should say no and start that painting. Or sometimes if you're lucky, that friend or that person that you care about also enjoys doing art. And in that case, why not do it together? And if you don't have friends that like to do art, consider joining the community I'm trying to build. Making time for what you love requires sacrifice. Maybe instead of cooking a gourmet meal every night, you take turns with your significant other or roommate, or you order out one night. You can also do leftovers. Maybe instead of going to the bar every single Friday night, or to the club, you pick 1 or 2 nights a month that you don't go, and instead you stay home with your drink of choice and paint. See where you can cut corners. I only do laundry once a week, usually on Saturdays. And that's only because I need clean workout clothes and I don't have enough for 2 weeks. When I was living alone, I did laundry once every 2 weeks. And no, I wasn't wearing the same clothes. I had enough clothes that I could go for 2 weeks and just do 1 or 2 loads at the end of that. This saved me time because then instead of doing laundry every Saturday, I was doing it every other Saturday. Another way you could do this is coordinate all your out of the house errands and appointments on the same day. Go grocery shopping, see your dentist, hit the post office. You're already out, so just get it all done. Are you making something for dinner? Make double. Freeze the leftovers or just save them for another night in the week. Keep a small sketchbook and a drawing implement with you at all times. This is something I'm just starting to do, but you can see where you can benefit. Sometimes, usually unexpectedly, you're stuck waiting, either in the waiting room at a doctor's appointment or, gosh, you're at the DMV in the United States. Some of them can be quite a wait. Instead of just sitting there scrolling aimlessly on TikTok or Instagram, you can take out your sketchbook and doodle. You have your own models sometimes right in front of you, or you can draw the office, or you can draw the scene outside the window. It's a great way to pass the time, and you're getting some artwork done. Create a workspace that at least somewhat works for you. Now, I have a desk in a small corner of the living room in the space I'm staying in. It's surrounded by stuff that I can't show you because my dad politely asked me not to. But if you guys ever want a workspace tour, let me know. I'd be happy to do it for you guys. That being said, I make do, and there's no reason why you guys can't either. Find out what items you need to make art. Emphasis on need. For example, if you're a digital artist, you might need a keyboard and a computer and a desk to put it all on. Maybe you do everything on your tablet and you don't need that setup. Or if you're a traditional painter that primarily works with oils or acrylic, maybe you do need an easel and a small table nearby to set up your paints, but also make sure you have a well-ventilated area. Or if you're like me and you're dabbling in all different sorts of mediums, a desk might be optimal, which is why I made sure I had one. Regardless of what your workspace looks like, it should be a space that you can, for now at the very least, tolerate. And your art supplies should be easily accessible and ready to go. That way, you have one less obstacle in your way. You can't use the excuse of, but it's gonna take me forever to set up, and then put it away. Of course, if you have little ones, please don't leave anything hazardous out for them to get their little hands on, because not only will they pick it up, they'll put it in their mouths. Let's say you can't tolerate your workspace or your environment, because sometimes the people or things in it just make it so hard to do art. Feel free to use some mode of transportation and go someplace where you can do art. I can walk to a local cafe, and the drinks alone are enough motivation too. There is a library 5 minutes away from me if I take my car, and the nearest beach is about 20 minutes away, so I could always go plein air painting if I ever do feel so inclined. There is a park nearby that I can certainly ride a bike to. And hey, if you have kids and a park nearby, why not take them with you? You can draw while they're running around keeping themselves occupied. If you have little ones, which I don't, but I do have some experience given that both my half siblings are under the age of 3. See if you can arrange an afternoon with the grandparents, or maybe your significant other can watch them for an hour or two. This way, you can get away or have them out of the house, which leaves you time to paint or draw or whatever your creative heart desires. Ask for help. I feel like we live in a society where asking for help is sometimes frowned upon. We have it so ingrained in us to be independent and self-sufficient. But the reality is we need each other. So there's nothing wrong with asking for help. If you have people in your life that care about you, communicate with them. Communication is key in every relationship, platonic or romantic. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean exploit your family and friends. Instead, impress upon them how much art means to you and ask them if they can help you so you can devote some time to that practice. For example, if you have a roommate, maybe ask if they can take care of the dinner 1 or 2 nights this week, or go out grocery shopping. And in exchange, maybe you do their laundry with yours. Or when you make lunch for tomorrow, you take a couple extra minutes to make a second helping for them. If you have a significant other, maybe ask if they can do the laundry this week, or if they can spend a couple hours with the kids entertaining them without you, so you can spend some time starting a drawing or a painting. I'm sure you can think of some ways that you can show your appreciation. Another example for you single parents out there that still have familial ties is talking to your parents or your siblings. I know of very few grandparents, aunts, and uncles that don't want to spend time with their grandchildren, nieces, and nephews. This way, they get to spend some quality time and you get to spend some time with your art practice. Also, if you have kids that are old enough and do get along with their younger siblings, see if they'll play with them for a little while you sit nearby, spending some time with the old pencil and paper. One more tip for those of you with kids, especially artistic kids. See if they're willing to draw with you. It's a great way for you to spend some quality time with them and bond over something you both enjoy. Finally, if you have the financial means, by all means, use it. Hire a nanny or a babysitter, or get one of those meal delivery services. Get your groceries delivered, a cleaning lady. If you have the money and you don't mind spending it, then use it to help you with your art practice. Make sure you're being somewhat productive with your art practice. And the way to do this is to first figure out your goals. Are you trying to improve your skills by taking classes? Are you trying to build a social media following? Are you trying to sell your artwork? Are you simply doing it because you want to or are inspired to? Once you've identified your goal or goals, make sure the time you set aside for art has a purpose and think about it ahead of time. Keep a list on your phone or in your sketchbook that you carry around with you of prompt ideas. This way, when inspiration strikes and you don't necessarily have time to sit down and draw or paint, you have a place that you can write down your ideas and use them for later. Then later on, when you do have some time and you're lamenting about what to do with it, you have a working list of prompts. Now, You just found out that this Saturday, you're gonna have 2 whole hours to devote to art. What are you gonna do with it? Think about this ahead of time, because the last thing you wanna do is spend a single minute of those 2 hours thinking through what you're gonna do with them. Are these 2 hours gonna be devoted to an online class? Are they gonna be spent working on a piece for social media or a client? Or is this purely for your own enjoyment? Anything goes. Just keep your goals in mind. Even go as far as to think of what medium you wanna work with. And hey, if you have 5 or 10 spare minutes during the week to set up your space, go ahead. This way, you're ready to go on Saturday, and there's no excuse. If you've planned ahead, you can't use excuses like, what am I gonna paint? In what medium? I'm so uninspired. There's no way I can spend the time doing this. Well, that's not true. If you took in my tips, you should have a working list of prompts and possibly an already set up workspace, or a workspace you can easily set up. And that's it, guys. My 10 tips to make more time for art in your busy schedule. Now, I'd like to hear what your tips are. I'm sure this isn't an exhaustive list. No, I know this isn't an exhaustive list. So please, share them in the comments below. How do you fit art into your busy schedule? Or how do you plan to, now that maybe this brought in some inspiration for ideas? Either way, I could always use a couple more tips myself. Now, before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you know every time I post a video. If you have an extra couple seconds, don't be shy. Come say hi on Instagram. There you can see my artwork, which hasn't been updated in a while, but I do plan on posting. And you can find the link to my Instagram in the description box below. If you really liked this video, if you found some value in it, please let me know by hitting the like button. I have some more content like this planned, but if there's something you guys would like me to expand on or cover in a video, feel free to put it down in the comments section. Thanks. Have a nice day.